Breaking as we come on the air, Scott DeCry, the worst mass murderer in Orange County, sentenced today. We'll have the latest news from the courthouse coming up.
Also, we will get an inside look at the wrath of Hurricane Irma and give you a unique view from our reporter's notebook.
And rescue efforts are still underway in Mexico after that massive 7.1 earthquake that rocked the country earlier this week. Welcome to Chapman News. I'm Haley Haskell.
And I'm Tristan Davis. We begin this afternoon with the aftermath of two major natural disasters, with Hurricane Irma hitting Florida and its outlying islands, and a monster earthquake that leveled Mexico City. We begin today with breaking news. Scott DeCry was sentenced today for the 2011 shooting of 8 people in Seal Beach, Ceylon, and will spend the rest of his life in prison. DeCry will be serving a 8 consecutive life sentences, plus 200 additional years without possibility of parole. The sentencing today comes 3 years after DeCry pled guilty in 2014. At least
250 people have been killed after the earthquake that rocked central Mexico on Tuesday. This quake came just 11 days after the 8.1 magnitude earthquake that struck off the country's southern coast and killed nearly 300. Mexican President Enrique Peña Nieto stated that Mexico was facing a national emergency. Schools in affected area remain closed indefinitely. Countless people have flooded shelters, and millions of Mexicans are still without power. Rescue efforts continue as residents join rescue workers in the search for survivors.
Hurricane Irma battered the Caribbean and Florida earlier this month. I traveled to Miami, Florida to see for myself in our exclusive Reporter's Notebook. Take a look.
Here's the latest on Hurricane Irma, still incredibly powerful.
President Trump declared an emergency today.
Seems to be record-breaking hurricane.
Long lines of cars snake around every gas station.
The storm is bigger, faster, and stronger than Hurricane Andrew.
With the most powerful hurricane in the history of the Atlantic barreling towards Miami, I grabbed my camera and booked the first flight out to my hometown.
We woke up early to start getting ready and start nailing in the shutters on the windows.
It was a beautiful morning. No one could ever guess a Category 4 hurricane was heading directly towards us. Every hardware store was sold out of the basic tools necessary to put up shutters and seal people's homes. Not even the nails we needed were in stock. Most locals had already finished boarding up their homes and had evacuated the area. But my parents decided to stay.
Well, super terrified and scared that it was going to be a Category 5 and that we were going to lose our roof and our home and that it was going to be utter devastation.
So we just got to the mangroves about a block away from my house. As you can see, the sky's starting to turn black. The trees are starting to blow. A lot of wildlife is coming and running out of the bushes here as if they're sensing the hurricane is coming. Back in 1992, when Hurricane Andrew hit, this entire area was completely underwater.
As Friday began, we could see and feel the beginnings of the storm. The breeze was picking up, and it was eerily quiet. There were no birds, no crickets, just the sound of frogs calling out to one another, as if to warn each other something was coming. We are supposed to miss the hurricane force winds, most likely. And the power just went out. After we lost electricity, I went to investigate where the power lines went down. When I found the down line, a police officer had already arrived to survey the scene.
My biggest advice is if you know a storm's coming, particularly something unpredictable like a hurricane, get out. Get out, go somewhere else, drive in the opposite direction of the storm if you can.
As evening quickly came upon us, My mother and I drove our car a few blocks down the street to an empty lot where it would be safe from damage. As we walked back, we could really begin to feel the outer bands of Irma.
So it's about 7:20 p.m. We just went and dropped the car off down the street. The rain's really started coming down. The wind's picking up. I'd say there's probably at strong gusts going about like 30, 40 miles an hour. We're the only people out here.
As my family and I said goodnight to each other, we all were worried on what tomorrow would bring. I awoke to the sound of howling wind and rain pounding against my window. As I looked outside, I was amazed at the power of this Category 4 storm. Trees were bending at angles I had never seen before. Giant branches and trees littered our yard and street, and debris was flying everywhere. With sustained winds in Miami-Dade at 80 miles per hour and gusts reaching up to 100 miles per hour. We were lucky. Just a couple miles south of us, the Florida Keys were getting pounded by 130 mile per hour sustained winds and gusts up to 140 miles per hour. And about 6 hours into the storm, we could see the ocean from our windows.
The storm surge came all the way to about here. There's a buoy from the ocean here. The good news, in the past 45 minutes, we got
The surge came near our street and luckily stopped. We knew the worst was over. The black clouds began to give way, and we could finally see the sunset. It was time to prepare for the aftermath. Irma was gone, and as I stepped outside, I thought a bomb had gone off. What was once my neighborhood was now a pile of debris. After a few hours of clearing our yard, we decided to drive around and see what Irma did to the rest of the local area. Almost every street had downed trees and power lines. None of the stoplights were functional, and most signs were down.
This tree out of its roots. I mean, this tree must be easily 100 years old, so it must have been something really powerful to rip it out of its base here. And this street now is completely impassable. Most people drive through this road to get to the main highway and main shops and all the gas stations. So a lot of the people that live back in this area are essentially trapped.
In total, 6.2 million homes were left without power, over 60% of the entire state. The storm caused up to $40 billion in damage, and at least 26 people have been declared dead. Hurricane Irma may have battered Florida and the Caribbean, but it didn't destroy their people's spirits. Like any natural disaster, humanity comes together in amazing ways to help one another in times of crisis.
So, inconvenience without power, all of that, tremendous relief.
Grateful.
That it's not what we thought it was going to be.
In time, they will look back on this storm as a moment of remembrance and triumph, overcoming one of nature's deadliest disasters. To the people affected by these hurricanes, our thoughts and prayers are with you all. Coming up, find out why we have to worry about mosquitoes in Orange County.
And later, where all of those hurricanes are going. Plus, we'll get a little look closer to home. Stay tuned.
We just finished dinner and it was time for homework. He hates homework.
It makes no sense.
I don't know how he finds anything in his backpack.
I can't find my backpack.
Finally, we found my assignment. He rushed through it. I wonder if he even learned anything.
I wasn't gonna get it right, so I just wanted to get back to playing my video game. At least I'm good at that.
I couldn't even read his handwriting.
Holding the pencil makes my hand hurt.
I know he's bright.
Why is it so hard for me?
He's
I'm
just
trying
gotta
as
try a
hard
little
as
harder.
I can.
When you can see learning and attention issues from their side, you can be on their side. That's why there's Understood.org, a free online resource for the parents of the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues. Here you'll get personalized recommendations, practical tips, daily access to experts, and more. Go from misunderstanding to Understood.org.
Follow your dreams. Chapman University. Take your life to new heights. Chapman University. Invest your humanity. Lead.
Well, Tristan, after experiencing Hurricane Irma firsthand, it must be pretty nice to be back here in sunny Southern California.
It sure is. Speaking of which, Haley, where are these hurricanes going, Sabrina?
Hey Tristan, taking a look at satellite imagery provided by the National Hurricane Center, Category 3 Hurricane Maria is making its way about 45 miles southeast of Grand Turk Island and about 100 miles north of the Dominican Republic. Hurricane Maria already made landfall in Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands, which were, quote, flattened by recent hurricanes Irma and Maria. The damage has been devastating so far, and we'll keep you updated on the hurricane watch in our next broadcast. But luckily for us, it's a nice 76 degrees out here in Orange with pretty clear skies, just a bit of light wind, a small breeze at the most, and we'll be getting slightly more cloud coverage into the night with temperatures dropping just a bit to 62 degrees. So we'll be having a little bit of a chillier night and a warmer afternoon today in Orange. And looking at the Orange County forecast, we've got inland temperatures in the mid-70s, and it's pretty mild weather for the most part all around Orange County. Of course, we've got a little bit cooler temperatures in our coast and in our beach cities with temperatures in the high 60s, low 70s in Newport, Laguna, and San Clemente. Perfect weather all around in Orange County. You really can't go wrong this weekend. And taking a look at the rest of our Southern California forecast, we've got moderate to warm weather all around here again. Pretty mild temperatures for the most part. It's a beautiful 75 degrees in Anaheim today. Perfect Disneyland weather. I'll probably be there myself later today. It's a bit warmer, of course, in Palm Springs at 82 degrees, cooling down in Big Bear Lake at 60 degrees, and then we've got our moderate temperatures in Santa Barbara, Los Angeles, and cooler temperatures in the coast again, 70 degrees in Oceanside, 73 degrees in San Diego, and 75 degrees in Avalon. And as we look at our 5-day forecast in the city of Orange, it's of course going to be nice and mild today, 76 degrees as I said earlier, but our temperatures are going to gradually warm up from 76 degrees today, 77 tomorrow, up into the mid to high 80s. Sunday it's going to be 85 degrees, Monday 88, and Tuesday 89. And of course we're going to have those clear skies. So it's looking like warm weather for the next couple of days. And it looks like it's going to be, of course, a warm start to the fall season. Happy first day of fall, everyone. Unfortunately, that means summer is officially over, but you can start enjoying your pumpkin spice lattes now. That's all I have for you in the Weather Center. I'm Sabrina, and I'm going to toss it back over to the desk.
The thought of mosquitoes will have most people reaching for their bug spray. But for Orange County residents, these insects might just land you in the hospital. The mosquito population is increasing, and the Orange County Mosquito and Vector Control District has seen a population spike, specifically in the Aedes aegypti and the Aedes albopictus mosquito. These are two species that are not native to the county and often carry Zika and yellow fever. The spike has especially been prevalent in the cities of Fullerton and Santa Ana. The population has increased 330% since last year. Residents are asked to take action so they can avoid being bitten. Make sure to check around your house for stagnant water. For more information on these diseases, you can visit the Center of Disease Control at www.cdc.gov. Following the massive outbreak in San Diego County, LA health officials declared a hepatitis A outbreak this week. The virus has infected 450 and killed at least 16 people in San Diego. In LA, and at least 10 people have been infected. Officials say that the homeless population are most at risk, and LA health workers are inspecting homeless encampments to improve sanitary conditions and stop the virus.
Senate Republicans aren't giving up. They will vote again next week to dismantle Obamacare. The bill gives more than $1 trillion allocated to Obamacare to the states in the form of block grants. The money from the grants will be used to set up the states' own health care programs. If passed, the bill would make the largest changes to Medicaid since the program's start, impacting the millions of program recipients. President Trump and North Korean President Kim Jong-un are at it again. Here's what the president said earlier this week in a major speech at the UN.
The United States has great strength and patience, but if it is forced to defend itself or its allies, we will have no choice but to totally destroy North Korea. Rocket Man is on a suicide mission for himself and for his regime.
The North Korean leader responded to Trump, calling him mentally deranged and, quote, "I will surely tame the U.S. dotard with fire," end quote. Thank you, Dr. Daddis, for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
We're joined by Dr. Gregory Daddis, War Society and Society Director at Chapman University. Dr. Daddis was previously the chief of the American History Division in the Department of History at West Point and is a retired U.S. Army colonel. Welcome, Dr. Daddis, and thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So, this was the president's first extended visit to the UN.
Right.
How did he do?
Well, I think we need to think about it in terms of the language he uses and perhaps question how helpful his rhetoric has been over this last week. And in part, I think this back and forth between President Trump and the North Korean leader, personalizing it, Rocket Man versus a dotard, it can be a bit dangerous, I think, because what it does is it personalizes foreign policy. And I think what happens is if you conflate your personal ego with a nation's honor, there are problems with that, especially when we're talking about larger foreign policy issues like potentially going to war. As a historian, I think I saw this or we have seen this in Vietnam, right? That if you look at President Lyndon Johnson as an example, he personalizes this idea that if I don't go to war with Vietnam, it's going to have an impact on my own manhood. It's going to have an impact on how I see myself as a man, and thus that's going to have an impact on the nation's honor. And so I think we need to be very careful in terms of conflating this personalized language in the UN with the larger issues of national security for the United States as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
So the language that President Trump used in his speech kind of alarmed many world leaders. How unusual was this language, do you think?
I think fairly unusual, and in part, I think what it does is it actually heightens tensions, and I think in large part, we might suggest that an American first type of language is not going to soothe fears of South Koreans who would most likely bear the brunt of going to war with North Korea. And I think it's also unusual in the sense that most senior policymakers have to be very deliberate, I think, when it comes to talking about foreign policy and national security issues. This issue of strategic communication can actually be fraught with peril because what you're saying, what you think you're saying, may not in fact be heard by those that you're speaking to. So especially I think when we raise the volume of the type of language that the president's been using this last week, there's potential, I think, for miscalculation when it comes to strategic communications, and we need to be very, very careful with that, I think.
So how much of all this back and forth is just posturing?
It's hard to say, and I think hopefully over the weekend we can kind of take a breather and be a bit more deliberative in terms of thinking about larger problems, not just on the Korean Peninsula, I think, but also in the region. And I think what we also need to be careful of is comments recently made by our National Security Advisor, General McMaster, who said that if North Korea takes these provocative actions, we may not have a choice. And so I think we need to be very careful about language that hints at the inevitability of war. And because what that does is it takes a foreign policy, which many already see as militarized, and leads us down a path where we only see certain options to solving this crisis through military means. And so I think that needs to be viewed with quite a bit of care.
So do you think that this is the best way to diffuse tensions between the two countries, or is there a better way to possibly achieve peace?
I would hope there's a better way, right? I think what we hopefully will see over the next week and hopefully coming weeks is a ratcheting down of at least the language, which will allow us to take a more deliberative approach that focuses not just on military options, but also on diplomatic, economic actions and issues, and also to take a more regional approach. I think at the end of the day, we need to realize that this is not just an American problem. It's also a regional problem that will include voices from the Chinese side and the South Koreans and the Japanese and even the North Koreans themselves to hopefully diffuse this crisis in a manner that avoids military conflict.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Daddis, for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
And coming up, we have our reporter Brianna Greenup at the OC Fair and Event Center with classic cars for a good cause. Stay tuned.
We just finished dinner and it was time for homework. He
I
hates homework.
It makes no sense.
I don't know how he finds anything in his backpack.
I can't find my backpack.
Finally, we found
my
his assignment. He rushed through it. I wonder if he even learned anything.
I wasn't gonna get it right, so I just wanted to get back to playing my video game. At least I'm good at that.
I couldn't even read his handwriting.
Holding the pencil makes my hand hurt.
I know he's bright.
Why is it so hard for me?
He's
I'm
just
trying
gotta
as
try a
hard
little
as
harder.
I can.
When you can see learning and attention issues from their side, you can be on their side. That's why there's Understood.org, a free online resource for the parents of the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues. Here you'll get personalized recommendations, practical tips, daily access to experts, and more. Go from misunderstanding to Understood.org.
Emergencies and disasters happen with little or no warning and often occur while you are away from home. Be ready for emergencies by registering your alternate phone numbers, cell phones, and email addresses at alertoc.com. You will receive alerts when an emergency occurs near your workplace or neighborhood.
Two of Apple's new iPhones, the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus, go on sale today. For more information about all things Apple, let's go to our resident tech reporter, Robert Rosenfeld, for our Week in Tech.
Love him or hate him, Apple sure knows how to put on a good show. The company's September 12th keynote garnered so much media attention that it seems like everyone is talking about it.
The glass is not only in the front, and now it is also in the back. So now you can break both sides.
But with so much talk about all the new Apple products, especially those new iPhones, I think it'd be kind of good to break it all down and do a little bit of a recap. Let's start with the Apple Watch Series 3. This new watch supports LTE data, meaning that you can leave your phone at home and still send and receive texts and emails, make phone calls, and even stream millions of songs right from your wrist. Now, Apple's marketing this as a feature that'll keep you connected while you're temporarily away from your phone, as it's not really a cell phone replacement just yet. The Apple Watch Series 3 with LTE starts at $399, and that data that watch is using is going to be an extra $10 a month on each of the big carriers. And now for the two products that everyone is talking about, the iPhone 8 and the iPhone 10. Let's start with the iPhone 8. Now, this is kind of an incremental improvement from the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus. It features an all-new glass back that works with wireless charging. It's got Apple's new A11X Bionic processor inside. It's got a bit of a better camera and also a True Tone display that'll kind of change the color temperature on the phone depending on the light in the room. You can buy the iPhone 8 today for $699 and the iPhone 8 Plus for $100 more at $799. Then there's the iPhone everyone else is waiting for, the iPhone 10. Now, this iPhone features a radically new design with minimal bezels, a 5.8-inch OLED display, and a controversial little notch at the top of the phone that houses a bunch of cameras and sensors, all used for the iPhone 10's flagship feature, Face ID. This iPhone ditches the traditional home button that we've seen for the past decade in favor of face detection technology, and the phone can be unlocked just by looking at your face. Apple says the chances of someone fooling this new system is literally 1 in a million, but some security experts are still a little bit skeptical. The iPhone X comes in at a high price tag of just under $1,000 and won't be available until November 3rd. I'm Robert Rosenfeld, and that's The Week in Tech.
So Tristan, I know you're an Apple phone user. Are you planning on upgrading your iPhone to the latest model?
You know, I think I'm going to have to jump on the bandwagon and do it. It's pricey, but have to.
Are you to go with the iPhone 8 or the iPhone 10 though?
Probably the 10.
The 10?
But you know what? You know what I love more than phones?
What?
Cars. And
Really?
Brianna Greenup is live on the scene. Brianna, what do you have for us?
Yeah. Okay. Okay. That's right. I'm here at the fairgrounds where vendors are setting up for Cruisin' for a Cure, a car show and a charity that benefits prostate cancer. I'm here with founder Debbie Baker, who's going to tell us a little bit more about it.
Thank you for being here. This is our 18th year, and this car event is for prostate cancer. So it's a car show with the guys with their toys. They can get the free testing for their brothers or fathers, whoever. And last year we tested 873 guys, saved 173 men from prostate cancer that never would have known about it. So it's a family event. It's a fun event for everybody, and we do the testing tomorrow, Saturday the 23rd, at the Orange County Fairgrounds.
Awesome. That's right. So you guys come down here tomorrow from 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. There's going to be lots of food, thousands of cars. Bring your brother, bring your dad, bring your uncle. Get them tested and have a little fun. Brianna Greenup, Chapman News.
Thank you so much, Brianna. Well, Tristan, that sounds like a great cause and a great car show. I love old cars, so I definitely want to check that out.
Well, speaking of old cars, what is your favorite car?
That's a tough question, but I think I'm going to have to go with a 1979 Pontiac Firebird Trans Am. It's a very specific model. I'd want a T-top. They're very, very cool.
I'm pretty sure my dad had one of those.
That's pretty awesome.
Well, speaking of cars, Michael Hofling is going to tell us a little about sports. What do you have for us, Michael?
Well, that made zero sense. I have no idea what you're talking about, but when it comes to sports, I might know a thing or two. When the best campus sports show returns, watch these commercials now.
Follow your dreams. Chapman University. Take your life to new heights. Chapman University. Invest your humanity. Lead.
They call me Maxie, but I prefer tripod. I was your above-average four-legged homie, and then wham, bam, minivan. Some people pity me. Now that's lame. I still run, fetch, and swim. And the ladies love me. I'm the ultimate wingman. Just don't ask me to high five.
Hello and welcome. Guess what? Matt Brown is gone. Now I am king of all the athletics, and I demand we talk about the Los Angeles Rams. Coming into this week, the Rams were tied with the Seahawks and Cardinals for first in the NFC West, and they were going up against the last place 49ers. That should be pretty easy, right? However, the San Fran Clan did beat the Rams twice last year, and this year, I guess it looks like it won't be any easier. After an early interception, Todd Gurley rumbled to the end zone for the first score of the game. 3 first-half touchdowns for Gurley, 2 rushing, and this one through the air, 24-13 at the half. However, Carlos Hyde and the Niners coming back, the former Buckeye doing his part. And here, Brian Hoyer, people were having questions about him. The massive shot to Pierre Garçon. Oh my goodness, that would set up this play-action play. Oh, he fooled me, to Trent Taylor. That would make it a 2-score game. Then it's Carlos Hyde once again. They're down by just 2. This is getting close, so they go for 2, and it's the big man. Not that big man, that big man. Michael Brockers coming up with the interception, so they have to try the onside kick with 2 minutes left. These never work, though. What? It worked? No, that's impossible. Well, 4th and 20. They can't get this right. Okay, yeah, I'm right about that one. They get the sack, and the Rams hold on to the win. Sean McVay, youngest coach in the NFL, gets his 2nd win on the season, 41-39. That's something you don't see every day. Athlete of the Week is making its stunning return. This week's Athlete of the Week is Chapman men's soccer goaltender Sean Augustine. The team just began SCIAC play and is preparing for the toughest part of their schedule. In order to prepare for such a difficult road ahead, Augustine did some work sharpening his senses with Tim Wolf.
Thanks, Michael. I'm here with Athlete of the Week and starting goalie for the men's soccer team for the Chapman Panthers, Sean Augustine, and we are going to play a game called Blindfold Penalty Kicks.
We didn't have the budget for a real goal. We spent all that money on the Hurricane Irma stuff.
I can see nothing right now. Let's do this thing. About to go 3 for 3. That went in, didn't it?
That felt real good. I don't even know if it went in, but I didn't hear him stop it, so.
You guys had a big win yesterday against Whittier, 4-1. What's the outlook for the rest of the season look like?
Yeah, we're pretty confident moving on the rest of the season. We had a little rough patch the first couple games, but everyone's getting back and healthy, and we're looking good so far. And I got to give him some confidence, you know?
Some confidence?
I don't want him leaving here just devastated.
Sorry, we're not going to call that one. Just, you got a little bit under the foot too much. That's all you, man.
You had a big game yesterday, had a bunch of great saves. What gets you in the zone?
I guess just being around all my teammates in the locker room, getting each other hyped, that's what gets me in the zone. I'll probably just sit here. I might just go one hand behind the back, That's all I really need.
I'm just gonna kick it. Good ball game, good ball game. Just fell short, man. I gave everything I had and couldn't quite do it.
It can get pretty lonely out there standing by the goal all by yourself. What do you do to stay busy and keep yourself from getting sad?
Yeah, you're right. It does get lonely out there. Sometimes I just look out in the crowd while the ball's on the other side of the field and pick out just random people and come up with like a life story of them,
Well, the athletes still may be
Camera's this way.
Oh, there you go. Well, the athletes still may be undefeated, but that might change next week. Tune in again for Athlete of the Week. For Sean Augustine, I'm Tim Wolf.
The whole point of me coming up with that idea was I was hoping one of them would do a Charlie Brown, where they slip and fall, but instead they just both looked really athletic. That's a critical mission failure on my part. Augustine and the rest of Chapman's men's soccer team has had its hills and valleys thus far. 3 games already at home and no wins. However, the team did win its first SCIAC game of the year and returned home on Wednesday to face possibly its toughest hill yet in the Whittier Poets. And if you were paying attention, Tim actually spoiled the results in that last package. Thanks a lot, Tim. Whittier came out aggressively in the first half, absolutely peppering our Athlete of the Week, but were unable to get one between the sticks. Look at that hole. That was mighty close. Chapman wasn't even really getting off to a hot start here. The goalie way out of the box just to the right. However, they eventually would get one. And here's the second one. Sophomore Patrick Quinn, a blistering shot. And here's the Brit with the blast. He gets it past real fast. Ball doesn't even touch the ground. That's his second goal of the game. Here's Nico Arianis, puts Chapman up 4-0. How did Augustine do? There's a punch. There's a dive. It looks like he's ready for American Ninja Warrior. Chapman gets the win 4-1. We spoke with Elliot Braun after the game.
Game at home, first win here. So, it's taken us a bit longer than we would have liked or we would have hoped, but, it's hopefully we're getting into this kind of period now where people know that when they're coming to play us here that it's going to be a tough game for them. So, 2 goals, it feels good, but, it's good to get the win, mainly.
2 goals, such a humble guy. The men's team plays UC Santa Cruz today. We wish them the best of luck, and we hope they don't get too bored on their 8-hour bus ride. That's kind of atrocious. Chapman doesn't have many home games coming up, but if you're feeling a road trip, check out your Panthers football team take on Trinity in the Lone Star State. That would be a drive. Other events going on tomorrow, the women's volleyball team takes on the Athenas. Listen on ChapmanAthletics.com. I will be on the call with Ryan Chirillo. Meanwhile, the women's soccer team will be taking on the Athenas in Claremont. And lastly, the next time you want to see your Panthers sports at Chapman, you'll have to wait for Wednesday when the awesome women's soccer team brings Redlands into the jungle. Well, that's all that I have for sports. Let's send to Jessica in entertainment. She has my dream job.
Thanks, Hove. From dancing handmaids to politically charged humor, the 69th Emmy Awards had everything, except good ratings. Or as President Trump tweeted, the worst ever. With roughly 12 million viewers tuning into the awards, it is tied with last year's show on ABC, which was also the all-time low. With adults 18 to 49, last week's Emmys snagged a 2.5 rating. That's down 10% from when Jimmy Kimmel hosted the show last year. Many are still praising the show for its content, so let's break it down. Starting with host Stephen Colbert's monologue, where he brought out ex-White House press secretary Sean Spicer to make a joke about attendance at Trump's inauguration. The Emmys gave us the ultimate gifable reactions from celebs in attendance. Diversity was the big winner, as many firsts for the award show took place on Sunday. Donald Glover is the first African American to win an Emmy Award directing, as the first to win lead actor in a comedy series in 1985. Lena Waithe is the first African American woman to win an Emmy for comedy writing. Sterling K. Brown is the first black actor to win for lead actor in a drama series since 1998. And this was also the year of the woman on the small screen, with two female-led series, Big Little Lies and The Handmaid's Tale, sweeping the night with 5 awards each. Rita Moreno is the first woman to win Best Directing for a drama series since 1995 for Handmaid's Tale. Julia Louis-Dreyfus is the first woman to win a category 6 years in a row for Veep. Although not a big success for ratings, it was a huge win for women and minorities. Beyond the amazing awards and recognition, television content is also transforming and expanding, as Netflix just released its upcoming original shows and season renewals list. With fan favorites such as Stranger Things and Atypical confirmed for more seasons, many are convinced that online streaming is not just the present, but also the future of film and TV. As far as the world of Chapman, screen acting student Rachel Redleaf gives an insight on her experience as a college student here, her journey playing the character Beth on Atypical, and her excitement for the new season.
My reaction when I got the part, I cried. I just think it's such an important message, like everything about the show, there's not a lot of representation about the autistic community and everything like that. And it's just such a, the show teaches so much to people, and about how to be a better person, how to react to people, everything. And Beth is so special to me because she gets bullied for being the underdog, for being fatter. And I don't treat it as being sad, oh, someone cast me as a fat girl. I treat it as looking at it as a positive thing. Like, I get called an orca, and I don't look at it as, oh my God, they're calling me fat. I look at it as a beautiful thing, like hashtag bring back the orca. No matter your race, your gender, your sexual preference, whatever, or your body shape, you are who you are, and that is beautiful. And I'm just trying to spread that message. And I also think that's what the show is doing. I'm so pumped for season 2. It's so exciting that we got renewed. I can't wait to see what they have in store for my character and for the rest of the plot. It's super exciting.
Rachel also says she knows just as much as we do about the next season and the future of her character, but we're all hoping to hashtag bring back the orca. Thanks and congrats, Rachel. And what goes great with Netflix? Food. Our reporter Matt Peterson tests his taste buds at a new Garden Grove late-night eatery.
I think it's time to look out, because Nitro Lotto is coming for you with the best churros in town. My name's Matt Peterson. Let's go put the taste to the test. So we stepped behind the scenes of Nitro Lotto, and we're about to see how the magic actually goes down with the ice cream making. This is no basic ice cream. Is every single flavor made fresh?
Yes.
Every flavor made fresh. You don't get that at Baskin-Robbins, do you? No. This looks like the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my entire life, and I'm about to start crying, but I'm gonna pull it together because my taste buds need to eat this. We're gonna go ahead and start off with the s'mores. They do a freaking marshmallow on top. So I think you take a bite of the churro first. Oh my God.
Oh my God.
We're gonna make a s'more with the s'more ice cream. Oh yeah. I got so excited I forgot to chew. Oh man, that is bomb. This tastes exactly like a s'more. So I might have done some damage, but let's put Nitrolato on the dab rating scale. Every time you come here, you can always mix and match. You'll never have the same thing because you can choose a different churro bowl. You can choose different flavor. I just loved it. I loved every second. I love every flavor, which has to mean one thing only. That Nitrolato is getting 5 big old dab based off aesthetic, the taste, if it's Instagrammable, if I'd bring my grandma here. Boom, 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 boom. So we'll see you here. Nitrolato, signing out for Chapman News. I'm Matt Peterson.
Thanks, Matt. I'll have to go try that s'mores flavor like right after the show. So now that you know what to watch and eat tonight, that's the very latest in entertainment, and back to you guys at the desk.
Well, I definitely think I'm going to have to take Jessica's suggestion into consideration. I love churros and I love ice cream, and I've never heard of that place.
Sounds delicious.
Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in. We hope you have a great day, Orange County. Be sure to check out our website and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I'm Haley Haskell.
And I'm Tristan Davis. Thanks for watching Chapman News.